The most beautiful thing about racing is its history. Its heroes, long remembered, and its venues, past and present. This speedway was part of the NASCAR boom in the 90s and quickly became a legendary track on the calendar, known for its dramatic battles under the California sun. When it closed in 2023, it was Kyle Busch with the honour of taking the final bow. The most beautiful thing about sim racing, then, is its ability to let history live on with us. Speedway may be closed, and Kyle may longer be with us. We still have to put on a hell of a show tonight, and so the legacy will stay alive. Welcome to round 2 of the BSR Summer Series, live from Auto Club Speedway here on JCTV. Last week's race at Daytona saw a dramatic ending with Fidel Fabian taking his first career win in the series, so let's see what new history can be written here tonight. We have just under 3 minutes left in practice here, with the current fastest time being set by the number 5 of Justin Durand with a 40.453. A reminder that this summer series is using the 4 trucks that we have now in the current rotation of the NASCAR calendar, but with a little bit of a supercharge in the engine, an additional 10% power, so it is going to be a lot more difficult to get the handling in the corners, especially with the track temp sitting at just a hair under 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's go on board with Cody McCorkle here for a quick lap of the speedway. Cody currently running in the 8th position, but looking to make an improvement. We'll bring up the data from the final practice session here. You see Kerford only 3 1/1000ths away, and Wyatt Roberts also within 100th of a second. So expect some very, very close racing at the front of the field here tonight, and that slipstream going to play a big factor as always. Of course, this is the second round of our season. Everyone getting back into the swing of things. I'm sure I'm going to take a while to get back into the swing of things as well. You see a little bit of an instant down there off of turn number 2. The schedule for the remainder, I mentioned the Daytona race last time out. We are here in Fontana, California, and then a couple-week break for the festivities over on your side of the pond before we return in Las Vegas, Bristol, Texas, Watkins Glen, another break before Chicagoland, and then back in the swing at New Hampshire, Michigan, and then Iowa, Charlotte, and Homestead to round out the season. A lot of favourites on that schedule. I'm very excited to see everyone take this one on. Of course, just one race on the books so far, and it means that we do have the championship leader as Fidel Fabian in the number 11 by 20 points. It'll take a while to really get a feel for how things are going to run, especially given how different plate racing can be, and Daytona being the only plate track on the calendar for this season. We've just got the one road course as well, so a lot of very traditional tracks for these drivers to get their teeth into. That will be the end of our practice session, and we are going to head right in to qualifying here. The qualifying format, as ever, is going to be a 5-minute sprint with 2 laps available. We'll see who is the first driver to go out and try and set a time as the clock does start ticking. 5 minutes is plenty of time for 2 laps, so nothing to be too concerned about, but it looks like the first driver out is going to be Christopher Smeltzer in the number 23 Chevrolet Silverado. First one to cross the beam and start a running lap. I'm expecting a lot of on-throttle time here. It's going to be a little bit less than usual, again, because of the additional power in these engines. But I am very excited to see what we can do here. Getting up past 180 miles an hour and towards 190 to cross the beam to start the lap. Wash out up towards the wall. And then it's going to be a low line or a high line here for qualifying. 5 lanes to work with. Smeltzer's going to try and hook it into that bottom lane, actually, through turns 1 and 2. Nice and comfortable exit on the wall. Maybe a little margin to work with, but it's best to save that for lap 2, potentially. A lot of bumps there on the entry into turn number 3 as well. And then down low once again, painting those white lines in 3 and 4. And then back down. Apron, of course, going to be in play. And so we will see what Smeltzer can set for that first lap. It'll be a 40.612. Was, of course, top of the board, but Chicano in that first volley seems to have the run with a 40.5, exactly 1/10 of a second faster. Fidel Fabian, last week's winner, also looking for some good results here. See, working the wheel, 5th from that lap 1 time. The tyre degradation maybe going to make lap 2 a little bit slower. We'll see what the other drivers do, as Justin Durand goes fastest with a 40.468 in the number 5. Was fastest in practice as well, so clearly has the 1 lap pace to work with here. But with at least temperatures at the start of the race, going to have to make sure to manage the tyres to keep it going. And it was not an improvement there, about 1/10 of a second slower for Fabian on lap number 2. So it just does go to show that maybe you need those fresh tyres. Tony McCorkle right up against the wall on the exit of turn number 4 to finish out his lap here. What is it going to be? Is it going to be a good time? It's going to be good enough for 8th place, which I think was also where he was sat in practice as well. Alex Kerfan jumps up to 3rd position there. Great lap. And now David Durand going to round turn number 4. As Justin on pole, watching David do in the Hershey's truck. Is it going to be good enough? And it's going to be good. It's going to be good enough for 3rd place. A great lap there from Durand to go on the 2nd row just behind Justin. And it looks like, unless any improvement to be found on these second laps, the only runner we're potentially looking as it fades over to Shane O'Neill, but he's picked up a black flag. This quali run isn't going to count, so he will be starting from the back of the field, it looks like. Often a strategy that's used to just give yourself a chance to get some practice, but without setting a lap time, so that you can just get your eye in for the track. And starting from the back, not as big of a disaster in a smaller field here. We will see how he can work his way through. You're kind of in control of your own destiny, just a little bit. With 30 seconds left to go in the session, it's going to be your last chance. Get a drink, get whatever you might need. We are going to be back in just a moment's time with the start of today's race. And so, let's bring you your starting grid for tonight's race. It will be Justin Durand on pole position for Radius Racing with Alonso Chicano alongside a margin of about 0.04 of a second. Great work there from Justin. Behind it will be David Durand and Alex Kerfen. Very strong showing for the Radius drivers in qualifying here. And then Christopher Smeltzer and Wyatt Roberts on row number 3. Fidel Fabian, last week's winner, will line up on the inside of row number 4 alongside Enrique Callan. And then Zach Probst and Cody McCorkle will round out your top 10 on the grid. It will be Aaron Vondruska and Cameron Caldwell on row number 6. Behind them, Weston Osborne and TJ Wood, 13th and 14th. Stephen Thornton and Sean Neal, electing not to set qualifying times, will start on row number 8 and look to work their way forwards. So 100 laps are on the docket for this one tonight. I believe we are running without stage brakes, so it'll be a straight shot through if these drivers can keep it clean. Oh my god, that's smoke! Is that smoke from one of the engines? Who was that at the back of the field? Well, they're just getting into the dust down on the apron, trying to scare everyone. Regardless, pace truck is about to pull off down towards pit road. And it will be Justin Durand getting the signal to start the race. We are green here in Fontana. And it's a good start. It's a little bit of a run away from Alonso Chicano as they go to enter turn number 1, 2 by 2 there, with Durand behind on the inside row, 3 wide in the back. A little bit of drama still fanning out throughout the middle of the field, still 3 wide at the tail end of the top 10, but it's Alonso Chicano trying to sweep around the outside, nose ahead into turn number 3. Will a short line prevail, or can Alonso carry the momentum off turn number 4? They're still going to be level with each other, but it looks like Alonso Chicano is going to lead the first lap and is going to clear down the front stretch. Number 25 to the point here after lap number 1. Kerfen up into third. Roberts up 2 positions into 4th on that first lap. Meanwhile, Smelter down 3, falling to 8th with a little bit of a slow run to start off tonight. Too nearly into the wall there. A couple trucks further back also struggling with the exit of turn number 4. But it is a harsh battle. 2 wide, 3 wide in this second part of the pack, with Durand and Fabian currently racing off corner. Durand has fallen down to 3rd, maybe doing a little bit of time management early on, maybe under attack from Wyatt Roberts as well, already up 2 positions, could be looking to make it a 3rd on Justin. Not able to make the move just yet, but Fabian has moved up into 5th. And David Durand, after starting in 3rd position, now down to 8th, really struggling as we get into this first run. Looking for some momentum up on the top side, lane 4 here, through turns 1 and 2. Track temp still up at about 90 Fahrenheit. Not the warmest, and of course, as the sun continues to set, just past 7:40 p.m. local time here in Fontana, it will get cooler and cooler, and that on-throttle percentage will become a lot higher in the corners. You're burning fuel pretty quickly here, so shorter stints than potentially you'd be expecting, although the tyres are going to be taking a little bit of trouble with that high throttle percentage in the corners. Fabian now up to 4th place and looking for the move now on Justin Durand for 3rd. Has some confidence coming up through the field, now up 4 positions from where he started. Just losing the momentum now as we come through the front stretch. Outside line really strong, but able to stay level up, do a little bit of side draft on the way in. And this is the kind of racing we all know and love from this track. Get quite low in the gearing, it seems like, through the corners here. So maybe a little bit sluggish on the way off, but you can see just how difficult it is to be in the pack here. Very close as Fabian's getting shuffled back now. Back down to 7th place. Is that a tyre situation or maybe just dealing with a little bit of an awkward exit there from turn number 2? You see right ahead, the Ram. The newest addition to the truck lineup. It's good to see representation there for the Ram brand as well. And there's trouble. There is trouble down on the front stretch. That's Kerfen, who I think got turned, is still struggling to get that little bit of dirt off the tyres. Has fallen a long way back. Now it's picked up a black flag. So had to cut down on the exit of pit road. Could potentially get cleared for that incident, of course, but as it stands, has fallen down to 13th place. Very unlucky for Kerfen. 9 spots down from where he started. And he was making moves, got as high as 2nd as well before that. Confirmation Race Control has marked that incident as no further action. But we got to have a look at what actually happened there to Kerfen. Our first real incident of the night. See what it was. See the number 2 behind. It's a little bit tight in the corner, I think, and is getting swarmed. And then who is it in the end? Tries to block Durand potentially, or does Durand come up ever so slightly? I think Durand might just come up a tiny bit through the corner. Let's roll that back one more time and go on board with Justin here. So he goes down to that first lane. And then, yeah, just kind of moves up a little bit. I gotta say, that's on Justin here. And as we go back now to live pictures, Justin way back into the pack now. Started on pole, of course, and down to 8th position. So not a particularly fruitful incident for the number 5 either. And as it stands, it is David who leads the way in the Hershey's number 24, with Fidel Fabian close behind. A lot of movement in these opening 10 laps. It's very sort of slipstream heavy. You've got to make sure you can get the run off the corner, and if you misjudge it, it can be difficult as Fidel Fabian looks to the inside. Could try and take the lead here into 3. Has a big run. David painting the wall, trying to carry momentum. Can Fabian clear? Yes. Can Durand hit the crossover move? Certainly going to try. And will lead up the line as well. Has the momentum coming off the corner. A little bit of this is just feeling out which lanes you prefer, how you prefer to make your moves. whether you prefer the high side, the low side, maybe that crossover move that we saw from Durand could be a strong one. See a little bit of bump draft in the back between McCorkle and Probst. Also going to be quite a big factor. You see Fabian again on the low side. Durand again on the high side. But this time can't quite hit the crossover move. Dell blocks that away. But it does just leave Durand on the high side to try and make the same move once again. We do still have everyone bunched up here. 15 cars within. Just 2 seconds. Stephen Thornton a little ways back trying to stay out of the melee. Kerfen down 8 positions to 12th. Schmelzer taking it very easy and has fallen 9 positions to 14th in the early running. And Justin Durand down 8 from that pole position start to 9th. And that's damn near 5 wide as they fan out through the corner. Not all next to each other, but fanned out into 5 lanes. It is what makes this track so special. And any time that we get to race here at Virtual Fontana, it is a great time. And there's a slide. That was Wyatt Roberts, and he holds on to it in turn 2 there on lap 14. We could tell that things were maybe coming to a head, and that was a big slide. Let's try and pick up exactly what happened. Oh, and it's the 88 of Alan Van Droostenhout gets tight there. And just washes up the racetrack. Great job from Wyatt Roberts to hold on to that. As we go back now to our live pictures. Stays in the race, we stay green here on the 15th lap of 100. Can't be good for the tyre wear though, is my main concern with that one. And Van Droosten has actually dropped back as well, made sure to not gain advantage from that incident. So good racing here early on. It is still David Durand at the front of the field. Fabian almost bump drafting into the corners now. Is going to try the high side as well. There's another slide. This time it's Zach Probst. I think that one may have been non-contact, may have been very light contact. But again, holds on to it. We'll see if we can stay green. There's all a little bit of door up there between Van Droosten in the Ford and TJ Wood's Ram truck. And I'm still a little bit overwhelmed right now, it seems like, struggling to find a piece of racetrack to work with. As we approach lap 18 here, hoping I don't have a caution through this run, but we're gonna hit a quick crank it up to honor the great Kyle Busch. Enjoy the show. Lap number 20 of 100 here at Auto Club Speedway. And they were 4 wide for a second. One truck down on the apron across the start-finish line. It is getting rowdy here, and I would not be surprised if one of these incidents does turn into a caution eventually. Only one caution last week at Daytona, but this track races very differently. And as the tyres start to wear, it's very difficult to not wash up. You can see how much the rears are sliding out on some of these trucks. Very loose as the run goes on. And it can just end up causing you a lot of trouble as we get into the later running of the race. Justin Durand has taken the race lead, charging back through the field after that incident with Alex Kerfen a little bit earlier on. Alex also making a recovery, was up into 8th place briefly, now is back down to 9th, fighting with Chicano and Caldwell just a little bit up the road. But I think this is where that tyre wear's really going to start setting in, probably about the midway point of this first stint. And we can get actually a cockpit cam on Caldwell into this corner. Just look at the hands. It's a great helmet cam here on the lead admin. It's okay until now, and then, ooh, that's where it goes. Corner exit. Gets very light. And that is where you're going to see your problems. Kerfen is really struggling, actually. Looks like maybe he's overpushed the tyres and starting to fall back. Going to be 3 wide. Stuck in the middle with Cody McCourt sweeping around the outside. And TJ Wood looking for a run down on the inside. Could close the door here on the number 30 and knock him back out of the top 10. And it looks like that is where we are going to end up. And this first stint probably going to be the hardest one, with the track temp likely to drop as the sun continues to set. It's a very warm night, you know. We're dealing with a lot over in Europe this past week. 30 degrees Celsius as we approach 8 p.m. I felt we're going to hold on to the heat in the air for quite a while, and so the track might not drop that much in temperature as we get into the nighttime. A little bit of a dispute in the way into turn number 3. You're going to be 3 wide. But Durand, great on the outside line. Durand has loved that line all race long. And he's going to do a great job holding that position as Fidel Fabian hold on to 3rd place behind. We have lost a couple drivers from this lead pat. There's a second breakaway pat, just a couple seconds behind the front 11. Kerfen just holding on. And then you see just a little ways behind. This is the pat with Smeltzer, Osborne, Vondruska, and O'Neill. About 2.5 seconds behind that front group. Just passing the 1/4 mark in this race. I'd imagine it might be about the 1/3 mark where drivers are looking towards pit lane. Of course, for some fresh fuel, but also because these tyres are going to be in a state. I don't know if we can make it to halfway on fuel to turn this into a 1-stop. I'm sure some of these drivers are going to give it a good go, but I think we're likely looking at a 2-stop race here. And so with how heavy the tyre wear's been and how rough those rear tyres have looked, I do think that it's going to be a matter of trying to split the race into thirds. Because my time software thinks that Kerfen has made 1 stop already. if we just pull up the stint length, Curvin Excursion through pit exit is trended as a pit stop, but everyone has stayed out here. What I do want to put up is the last lap times. High 42s currently across the board. For reference, the fastest lap of the race was set by Cody McCorkle on lap 3, and it was a 40.6. We are 2 seconds a lap off after just 25 laps, with how much those rears are burning away on this hot track and with this high power package. But things have calmed just a little bit from that frenzy a few laps ago. Everyone is looking for a two-stop race and resettling, trying to work out when do they want to pit, how do they want to pit, but there's problems. That was a car up into the wall there in front of Enrique Trutelon, who is down pit road now, unscheduled. Maybe he's going to be able to take a pit stop here, but does have a black flag on the racetrack right now. Was that... I think that was Chicano who was the sort of initial spark for that incident. Let's roll back to the replay. And I think on board with Enrique is going to be the thing to watch here. Black flag has been cleared for Trutelon. He can just his normal service. And yeah, just misjudged from Alonso Chicano. Incredible car control from Trutelon to get it stopped. Be able to take this unscheduled stop. Maybe still carrying some damage, but it's a quintessentially to be able to get away with race control allowing that one to stand. One driver into the pit lane as well. Alex Curfin with, well, this is a scheduled stop here on lap number 30, so this will officially open the pit cycle, covering off the chaos that was caused that last lap with Enrique. See no takers in the background in response, and Curfin will go one lap down, but just barely. This is going to be a track where he can probably pretty quickly race his lap back through the field with that significant tyre delta. And so long as the caution isn't right this second, Curfin will be able to get back onto the lead lap. But pit entry is treacherous even when you're not bumped into there. I just want to mention this, by the way. Pit stop there for Alex Curfin. Pretty standard pit stop there. 44.4 seconds total transit time. Enrique, you see, does have damage on the front of that Ford F-150, but has just overtaken the lead to get back onto the lead lap despite that. 46.3 transit time. So yes, it was a chaotic entry, but because of just the speed at which he dropped down onto pit road, only lost 2 seconds on that pit stop. The problem is just being about a second down last time by. Whether that's due to the traffic or to the damage, we'll have to see. The pit cycle well and truly underway. Weston Osborne also diving down to pit lane. Here on lap 33, I think this is going to be where a few drivers opt to take it. Again, 1/3 of the way through the race. Curfin back on the lead lap now. Osborne still trailing a little bit. Yeah, kind of really struggling to hold on throughout this run so far. Still only 3 who have opted for that pit stop, now 4th. Stephen Thornton, it looks like. Well, no, my apologies. Stays out this time by. His tyres are getting very treacherous indeed. The lap times haven't slowed too much more. We're still in the high 42s for these leaders. But it's just about how it's going to be to control this late into a stint. But of course, if you can extend this first stint, it makes your job easier at the end of the race. So you've got less to do. A little bit into the wall there from Fidel Fabian now. A little bit less of a hit than what Chicano took, as Chicano actually is down on pit lane. That right side does not look to have that much damage, and the bumper as well looks okay. Got very lucky after that incident with Enrique. Coma Torkel also following him down. Will our leaders start to respond here? Because we're in that margin where they're at risk of getting undercut and losing the lead, at least temporarily. And there you see slowing is Fidel Fabian, I think. Gonna try and hook it down onto pit road. He will, as will your race leader, Justin Durand. David retakes the race lead. And I think this is going to well and truly kick off that pit stop cycle. A lot of drivers pitting there. Smeltzer von Drooster behind as well. Also into pit lane. We'll see if Durand can respond. We will also see where Justin Durand comes out in relation to Alex Kerfen, who's just rounding turn 4 now. Durand is up on the jacks, but that's not going to be enough. That is going to be very easily passed here. It's a 5-lap undercut, and it will cycle Alex Kerfen to the net race lead once the rest of the field pits. Justin Durand, you see, now only just rolling, and might fall down below a few other drivers here. As David Durand pits, TJ Wood pits, that Probst inherits the lead in the Ram, number 62. But we'll see where Justin Durand exits, what his fight is going to be right now, and it is going to be to stay on the lead lap. He's currently 1 lap down, but he's going to very quickly get past that Probst, who I think is setting up for a pit stop as well. Hands lead Cameron Caldwell, who still has about 6 cars trapped 1 lap down. Seems like they're pitting 2 at a time here, right? Which is sensible to not have any big incidents. Probst and Roberts rolling away. And in fact, Caldwell's really the only driver who is still trying to make this work, along with O'Neill and Thornton way back, but now making their pit stops as well. And that's why they were a little bit off pace, just they were already woeing it up. So Caldwell still out on the racetrack behind, oh, just in front actually, just back onto the lead lap. You've got Ricardo, McCorkle, Fabian. 3 pretty strong trucks here. And Caldwell spins on pit entry. Oh, and those tyres are really hot. Has to get it back under control. Just about holds on to it, but I'm sorry, we have to go on board for this one. Oh, okay. I can't quite get the replay working. This should be the button. A little bit further. Thank you. And this is how it can all go wrong. Getting on board with Cameron Caldwell. Just lost the rears. The tiniest amount, and then just ends up in sort of that pendulum effect. Trying to get it back under control. And then the rears are so overheated, they have been all stint, but has to bring it back. And does rejoin, but down in 14th place, unfortunately. After this pit cycle completes, your race leader by 5 seconds, 6 seconds, is Alex Kerfen. Of course, involved in that incident a little bit earlier on. Cut through pit road. Now, quite a way in front of the field, but You have to pay the piper at some point, and this is where that margin comes from. 10 laps since the last pit stop, so already on pretty old tyres, already about a second down on ultimate pace. Drivers behind between sort of 5 and 8 laps of tyre advantage on the number 30, which will continue throughout this whole stint. So although it is a big margin right now, I would not expect it to stay that way for too long. Meanwhile, racing here for 4th position, Lon Chicano and Cody McCorkle down into turn number 1. Well, battle pack of 4 cars further behind as well. Durand, Fabian, Probst and Roberts. The 4 on your screen here. As McCorkle and Charger side by side in front of Shot. And again, all of this, it's just out of the podium places, but it's all in the name of a chase down towards Alex Kerfen. Despite the fighting, all of these trucks are gaining at various speeds. Durand's last lap, in fact, 8 tenths faster than what Alex Kerfen was able to manage. So that just goes to show that the early pit stop does get you the track position now, but it is going to be a tricky job to hold on to it. Side by side off the corner here between Fabian and Probst. Maybe side by side across the line as well. Fabian just got a little bit more momentum on the high side. And with 2 lap older tyres, might not be able to hold that, but it's going to try and fight it. And might have the run. Switch it back potentially. And this is really to show, I mean, obviously Enrique was forced into an early pit stop with that contact with Alonso Chicano, and he's carrying that damage. But you can see just how quickly you get swarmed once the pack approaches you on those fresher tyres. Fabian slots around, and already the 0-2 is down to 9th place. Just 15 laps into a stint, less than 10 laps into everyone else's stints. But now Kerfen's lead is 3.8 over Justin Durand. Durand has quite a remarkable breakaway right now. Was very strong in that first stint, but has really taken control in the pit cycle, despite a pretty average pit lane time. 45.4 is definitely not bad, but Cody McCorkle was 1.2 seconds quicker down on pit road through that first set of pit stops, and so a little bit surprising that he's pulled that gap to McCorkle in spite of that. This is that battle for third. Kind of chases him down. That's number 2 of McCorkle. But if they do want any chance of catching up to Justin Durand, they're going to have to try and work together just that little bit. Or, of course, hope for the first caution of the night, which, despite a few instances that could have easily brought out the yellow flag, we have yet to see. All 16 trucks on the lead lap as we approach the halfway point of the race, and it's going to stay that way for a while longer as well. O'Neill and Thornton are running quite a ways behind the field, but they also have some of the freshest tyres of the field, and so are putting in solid lap times and very much pulling towards Kerfen again. This is a great battle here. Four trucks all vying for that podium place. Currently it is David Durand, but the Corkle always a little bit exciting to watch here. It's actually a 5-truck battle now with Wyatt Roberts pulling up to the tail end of it. Roberts with very fresh tyres, so he's no luck to try and slice through. This might be one to watch here. Three laps pressure. It doesn't sound like much, but it can be all the difference in a place like this. Had to go to the low side, so it's not going to be momentum off the corner. We'll see whether he can find anything down into turn number 3. And here goes for that third lane. Down to the second, but able to carry more speed potentially than Chicano. And with that better grip in the tyres as well. Going to look to slingshot around. Chicano not leaving a great gap open. We're sort of straddling those outside 2 lanes on the front stretch. So Roberts choosing to wait just a little bit longer. Find an opportunity towards the front of this group. Have to look towards the front of the field now, though. The number 5 of Justin Durand is within a second of your race leader, Alex Kerfen. And these two have already had one coming together in this race. Let's see what happens the second time around. I think it could be a bit of a formality here, as Justin Durand has 6-lap fresher tyres, has been lapping about 8 tenths faster last time by. See that last lap time is there. 42.8 plays a 42.0. And here, as we approach the halfway point of the race, who will take that honour of leading lap 50? Will it be Kerfen or will it be Durand? I think it'll be Justin Durand. He's got that low side. He's got the additional grip to hold the speed down there. And he will cover off the number 30 of Alex Kerfen halfway through the race. And your new race leader is Justin Durand. I will say, with the help of a little bit of slipstream here, Kerfen is not falling away quite as fast as you'd expect. Is going to lose Durand eventually here, I'd imagine, start to fall into the clutches of that second group. But just getting that tow along is going to help out. And the difference between the last lap, only 4 tenths, and the difference this lap, 4 tenths again. So it just goes to show how powerful a slipstream can be. When Kerfen was out in the lead and Durand was chasing down, it's an 8-tenth margin just from that tyre advantage. But he's able to mitigate half of that just by having one truck ahead. Unfortunately, there are a lot of trucks behind. That 3 right there of Probst, Roberts and Durand, and then Chicano and McCorkle, who pit a little bit earlier, have faded off the back of the group and are racing each other now for 6th place. Now, of course, the question here is probably not whether Kerfen can fend off this trio of drivers. I think it's a notability that Kerfen will fall back a couple of spots. It's sort of towards the drivers further behind the question of how high can you stay before that second pit cycle. The real question is who takes advantage of that slower truck through and try and take the lead in this group and maybe try and break away. Traffic does play a big factor in the strategy of these races. And as Probst is the first driver to have a shot at Alex Kerfen. As Kerfen gets into the wall just a little bit there, off turn number 4. Could make that job a little bit easier and could potentially give that opening to try and Mitchell run away from the group behind. They're side by side through the corner. Zach just holding that second lane, Mitchell keep momentum off the corner, does clear. The question is, can Wyatt Roberts follow him through here the next time by? It's about a tenth of a second back, is not quite alongside, but launches it down into turn number 3. Gets there, gets door to door, and uses that superior traction to close the door on exit. And he is through, but it's a 3/10 gap to Zach Probst ahead. And there could be a little bit more of a challenge here from Alex Kerfen, as well as David Duran behind. This could be the opportunity for that number 62. Try and look forwards. Or it's not end up being under threat there, and Duran's now trying to work the move. Kerfen, I think, may have saved a little bit of tyre earlier. We saw a slower pace through the early running, but seems to have found more now. So whether he found just a plateau in the tyre performance, or whether he was saving a little bit for the fights such as these. Giving a little bit of a headache here to David Duran, who has the outside as his preferred line. Going to try and use that slingshot to stay in touch with the 62 and the 42. And going to be able to manage it. This group hasn't really been too disrupted by it. Got a little bit strung out, but I think we can expect a bit more battling from them as they group back up in the slipstream. Chano and Portal, of course, were in that pack, but had a couple of older tyres. They fell off the back of the group and are running nose to tail with each other, negotiating for 6th position and the position behind. Gonna catch Kerfen, who is about 2 seconds up the road right now. Gonna be maybe 5-10 laps time before they get there, though, with how Kerfen is managing his tyres. Only a 5-lap delta for these two against that number 30 truck. Back in this group for second place, they have caught back up to it, but more importantly, they are catching up to the number 5 of Justin Durand. Durand pit 2 laps earlier than Probst and Roberts, and Durand pit the following lap, and so it's 1 lap better on tyres than the number 5. Gaining about 1/10 of a second a lap potentially on that number 5. We'll see if they can catch before that second pit cycle kicks off in between 5 and 10 laps time. Still caution free, but this was the phase of that first stint where things started to get very, very difficult for these drivers. They are strung out, but it just one instant fight for position can be all it takes to bunch us back up and set up what would be quite a chaotic finish for this race. As it stands, though, it's going to be very tight between these front runners as well. Durand has a small lead, but doesn't have the tyres to hold on to it for now. The question is, how much do these cars behind battle to try and get themselves to second place? And will that give Durand a chance to lead the way? I think not. I think it's going to be very difficult for Durand to hold on, especially when they start getting to the slipstream. So I reckon if they get too much closer, it might be a decent strategy for Durand to pit and cut them loose, not give them that toe up towards him. We'll have to wait and see. No takers yet for his second pit cycle, with 40 laps to go in the race. I don't think anyone made it 40 laps through the first stint, so potentially not quite in the fuel window yet. And also potentially no one wants to go 40 laps on tyres to get to the checkered flag. I think that's much more of a guarantee. Again, an additional 10% horsepower in these trucks compared to their stock configuration. Gives us good lap time, it gives us a great show, but it means that every time you're putting the pedal down, you are struggling. And we saw Kerfin in the back of shop there, just sort of drifting it a little bit off of turn number 4. Nothing too scary, but it's just, that's going to give a little bit more wear to the tyres as well. It can sort of snowball, and just a runaway heating effect. Battle for 9th place here, 9 seconds off your race leaders. Caldwell with 2 lap fresher tyres than TJ Wood in the Ram truck. Caldwell, one of the latest pitters of the group, nearly made it lap 40. I think pit around about 38 or so. So proves that the window is open on fuel to the end of the race here. We'll see what he saved from these tyres. Pressure, yes, but you have to push to try and catch up when you take the strategy, so it can be very easy to end up behind the 8 ball still. And Woody's doing a good job on the defense right now. I didn't mention that Alex Kerfin, pit first, has 35 lap old tyres right now, but is yet to fall down behind, out of the top 5, behind Sean McCorkle. Kukulon, of course, was the first down pit road. Involuntarily, you see the damage still on that truck. Won't have time to get that fixed. Just really hoping for a caution to reset the playing field here. Christopher Smelter also pit just ahead. Will anyone else follow? Alex Kerfin will not. Again, would probably be the first sign of one of the front runners pitting, given his strategy the first time by given these on the older tyres of the field right now. But holds firm right now and is actually holding good pace to try and hold on to this top 5. Will anyone from that second group maybe try and hit to jump? And Kerfin does pull down into pit road here. Also down pit road is the 91 of Shane O'Neill. And Christopher Smeltzer, not out of the garage yet, might have put this truck behind the wall, unfortunately. Could be our first retirement of the race. Oh, that's a spin in the background. That is Weston Osborne on the way down towards pit road. I'm so sorry. We have to do this. Very cautious. Oh, but that downshift. Downshift is a bit too early and it just locked the rear axle. That will do it. Unfortunate, but I think no penalties from that one, fortunately. Just maybe a little bit of a slow start. Might need that caution late on. Meanwhile, look at this group. Connor McCorkle now. Fabian has caught up. One of the fresh tyres. They are about 3 wide at times. Fabian helping Chicano along right now, but is that friendliness or is that trying to force his own way through? Push Chicano into the corner actually, and does slice through. Now looking at whether we can continue that move and the momentum around for Cody McCorkle. And as we say that, Probst and Roberts both pit. So they have pulled the trigger at the front of the field. They're not going to try and make their way around Justin Durand on track, and they're trying to get it on the strategy. David Durand stays out for the time being from that trio. And of course, Justin Durand up front has yet to respond, but it could be this time by. Meanwhile, Chicano and Fabian throwing haymakers here on lap 69. Love to see if they can do anything. And sure enough, Justin Durand is in. Nice, clean entry. Hits the speed pretty well, it looks like. It's exactly what you're looking for. David Durand inherits the race lead. Now remember, those other trucks are about 2 seconds behind. About 2 seconds. And they've just pit. They're just coming out onto the racetrack right now. Alex Kerfen gonna wrap around them. Probst have to fight Kerfen into turn number 3 here. 2 laps older on the tyres. Kerfen's done a great job here, changing that offset. But here is the question. Justin Durand down on the jacks. Down on the jacks now. Wheels drop. Gets away. These trucks are just coming across the start-finish line now. You see Justin Durand on the apron. Who is going to take the lead as we come through? It is going to be Wyatt Roberts. But Alex Kerfen going for the move as well. Kerfen really pushing now. You know, this is for the net race lead. It's Kerfen, it's Roberts. It's Zad Probst sliding up the inside. They're going to be 3 wide into the corner. They're catching a lap truck here. Thornton yet to pit. It's actually for position, my apologies, but it's yet to pit. They're all dancing. Justin Durand's wondering what happened there. Is it a slow stop? It was a great stop from Wyatt Roberts, 42.8. Maybe is the answer. Durand, of course, these timings measure line to line. It does not measure the entry before you hit that cone. And it was a very calm entry from Justin Durand, maybe a little bit too calm, a little bit too slow. And it's handed off the net race lead to, well, whoever chooses to have it through this corner, basically. It's back and forth between Probst and Kerfen and Roberts. Struggling to hold on in the fight right now, it seems like. Or potentially saving tyre, knowing that this is way too much. Chicano's still down on pit road as well. We see another pit side with Chicano not back out on the racetrack. Honda's had a good race up until this point, but did potentially sped on entry, because that's 40 seconds longer than it should have been. I think that was like a pit penalty for Alonso Chicano. Only just now up to speed. We roll this back. See what happened. It's a late commitment. Try to slide it around the outside of Fabian. Oh, I think try to go a little bit faster to try and get ahead of Fabian on the way into the boxes, but I think just a tiny bit too fast. I think ends up clipping the time in and ends up a lap down now because of it. That's a real shame for Chicano. Gonna need a caution to try and get back into this one. Meanwhile, Probst holds the race lead. Kerfen chasing him down. 2 lap older tyres, yes, but holding on pretty well. TJ Wood pits now. Just Cameron Caldwell left to pit once again, extending London a half, just about 25 laps to go to the end. If he comes in this time by, we'll continue on even longer. I want to bring up here Justin Durand running reasonably slow lap times here. Whether that is to save a little bit of tyre for the final push, or whether he's just not quite got the performance now as the sun drops below the horizon. Track temps haven't changed much, but a lot of different effects that come with the day-night transition. And Durand struggling to get back in touch with Probst and Kerfen, who hit the undercut on the number 5 truck. All the while coming down towards pit lane. Much cleaner than the first time in. Did not want to have a repeat of that slide through the first cycle. We have a couple of incidents here. TJ Wood, it looks like, had potentially a bit of a slow stop. He's coming back through the field. I'm not sure, maybe the telemetry's still a bit broken on that one. As Caldwell pits, it gives the lead over now to Zach Probst, who has it by 0.8 of a second over Alex Kerfen. Again, 2 laps fresher on the tyres compared to that number 30 truck, and so it makes sense that Probst is pulling away. The real question is, what performance does he have compared to Durand, who pit a lap later than him? Can he hold that 1.3 second margin through the remaining 25 laps of the race? I think it's going to be a bit of a slugfest to finish this one out. Kerfen fading a little bit, but between Durand and Probst, this could be a grandstand finish here in Fontana. And Durand get the move done, gets the nose around the outside through the corner. Forces Kerfen to exit low. And that is going to be all that it takes. Just carries that additional momentum by forcing Kerfen onto the non-optimal line. And he is through into second place and has daylight towards number 62. Maybe has a tiny bit of slipstream from this far back. And is going to look to try and reel this one back in. And this is where lap traffic could play a factor in this race. 13 on the lead lap right now. Chicano 1 lap down from that speeding penalty. Would be in the lead-off position ahead of Stephen Thornton, who is the last car running on the track. But we have Weston Osborne and Shane O'Neill. We're on similar strategies. We saw the slide from Osborne to push him a little further back in the running order. They are only about 2 seconds up the road here from Probst and Durand. This could be an important fight between these two and how it plays out for the race leaders. Roberts now down to 5th place, been overtaken by David Durand. Just doesn't quite have that pace that we were hoping for. Maybe a little bit of damage somewhere, because if I pitted on the same lap as Zach Probst, the gap last time by was about 6/10 of a second between the 2 lap times. This time it's still 3/10. So a little bit of an issue, it looks like, on the 42 truck, and it is falling down the order just a little bit. Has about 2.5 seconds to McCorkle, and then another couple seconds back to Fidel Fabian. Going to be looking to hold on to 6th place, maybe 7th place. But up towards the front, Justin Durand, 7/10 now behind Zach Probst. Probst about the same margin to those 2 laps trucks. And with 20 laps to go, this is going to be a very, very interesting fight between the 4 of these. 2 on the lead lap, 2 fighting to stay on the lead lap. We'll see how they navigate. We'll see if Durand to try and take advantage of the situation. And here we go. Probst now on the back of, this is Shane O'Neill in the number 91 truck. Durand less than half a second behind here. They're going to try and both go at the same time, you'd think. But Probst has the priority here, gets around Shane. And now, next corner, Durand to try and shoot the same gap. Gap is down to now 0.3 of a second, but Durand did have to enter narrow there. Might lose out a little bit through the corner. Does a great job actually sliding back up, staying in touch with the number 62. There's one truck down, unfortunately. Shachano now out of that looking off position. If we were to get a caution, could be a very costly speeding penalty for the 25 here tonight. Gap down, less than 0.2. Justin Durand. So you go for into this corner. You see the lap truck right ahead. You see Zad Probst in the Blink 182 Ram. Gonna try and fend off Durand on one lap of fresher tyres. It's a small margin. And more importantly, Durand seemed to be the quickest driver all throughout the first two stints. See if he has what it takes. Plays patient. He's looking for the high side, I think, but Zad also covering that off, looking for momentum. Durand cuts low down to that sort of third, second lane. They are going to be side by side down the backstretch here with 16, coming to 16 laps to go. A little bit of a move down from Probst. Nearly contact between the two side by side into turn number 3. Probst has that outside line to carry the momentum. Gonna get that side draft through the corner. And oh my goodness, still side by side off the corner. Probst with the tiniest bit of momentum will lead lap 84. The side draft again from Justin Durand on the way into turn number 1. Unfortunately, they're not quite catching the lap because they're side by side, because if you're Weston Osborne here, you are terrified about what could happen here. Durand gets to the lead. Does Probst have a response? Was on the outside line down into turn number 2, but it looks like Durand has covered it off. That could be the move unless Probst has an answer. Looking for the high side in that second groove, looking for the crossover potentially. Does Durand overcook it? Not quite. And he will cross the line on lap 85 to take the race lead with 15 to go. And will that be the final lead change of this race here in Fontana? We've had a few of them. Probst trying to shoot the outside line. It's a longer route, of course, and it's not quite working out here. Looking for the momentum, but has lost about 1/10.5 just through the corner with that longer route around the top. And is not gaining it back now with the momentum and the draft down the backstretch. Durand leads by 0.2 of a second. Needs to be perfect still on these difficult tyres. They will be 30 laps all by the end of this race. He's done a great job so far. And he is looking to ride off into this great California sunset to take yet another race win for Radius Racing. Now the lapper has to maneuver this situation. He's going to get to the top side, going to lift out of it quite a bit. Does not want to be caught up in this lead fight at all. It's going to be in a pretty decent spot here. Still in the lift opposition. If we do get a caution soon. But in fact, no, there's contact. He might be the caution here. And it is with 13 laps to go. Contact between Zad Probst and the lapped car of Weston Osborne. And we are under our first caution of the night. So late into the running here. Wow. I think a view from the spot stand is going to be absolutely perfect for this one. See the run. Justin Durand tucks underneath, gets the run. It's very odd, has to sort of try and slot in between the two trucks. But how does this go? I don't know. I feel like potentially Probst just runs a little bit too high, expecting just, you know, pinpoint driving, but the front stretch can be awfully bumpy here. Let's roll it back one more time and let's go on board with the number 62 truck. Has to trap the throttle and exit because the truck's up there. It's not in a great spot here. And yeah, I think maybe it just doesn't quite leave enough room. In theory, there's a lane there. I don't think there's any intent behind that, but it is going to change this race completely because suddenly everyone has a chance to pit. And with how the tyres have been, everyone will pit. Everyone on the lead lap at the very least will come down for a fresh set of tyres. It is going to be, it looks like Shane O'Neill with that lucky dog, given that Osborne was caught up in that caution. So here we go. Who has the best pit stops? Up on the jacks. Now for Justin Durand. It'll be 2 tyres, will it be 4 tyres? 2 tyres could be a very brave call here if anyone wants to go for it. I think maybe a little bit too reckless. Who will win the race? It will be pretty much as they were, I think. No huge changes of position. It is Justin Durand, Zach Probst, Alex Kerfen, David Durand. Total rounds out the top 5. Everyone here on 4 fresh Goodyear tyres. It is going to be, I think, a 9-lap shootout to determine this one. Our first caution came very late in the race, but I would not be surprised if we get another with how frantic the racing was in the first 10 laps and how much more is at stake when you're going for the checker. So if you need to do anything, you better do it quick because we're about to go onto green. Go and run downstairs, grab a drink if you need to, because we'll be back in just a moment's time with the conclusion. Half a lap until we go green for the end of this race. Durand has taken the outside line here for the restart. He's the only truck with that option, so Probst is restarting on the low side. Everyone who was off the lead lap has waved 10-second wave around. Looks like Westerners going to the pit lane we want to go, which is going to be a black flag penalty under green. But never mind that. We have a race to decide here at the front. Anyone in this sort of top 8, maybe, they've all been up at the front at some point in this race. Who's it going to be? The pace car pulls off. Justin Durand has control of the field in the restart zone and will get underway and gets a great jump with control of the field. It's the difference between the start and the restart. And it is a huge run. In fact, Kerfen is clear into second. Nightmare start for Zach Probst, who's now stuck 3 wide in the middle with Roberts and David Durand, and could get shuffled out of this one as they come out of turn number 2. Still too wide for at the front, but Durand will clear, but Kerfen goes for the dive down on the low side. Lutz try and take the race lead here with 8 laps to go. Again, I think it was this duo that came to blows earlier. We'll see how it manages for the rest of this one. Durand clears for the race lead. Kurfan in second. Durand and Probst. Does Probst have a response? Was so strong in that previous stint, but just got caught out on that restart, having to react with the truck to your outside. It's not a common situation on iRacing, so it's just struggling to get the momentum back again. Big dive into the corner. Maybe going to try and clear David Durand here even. Can't quite do it, and I have to leave space on corner exit. He's barely enough now through the middle of turn 4. But it's just not worked out. Trapped on the low side, it looks like, for that number 62, and he's dropped down all the way to 5th place. Trying to make something work down on the bottom, but it's just so difficult. Meanwhile, up at the front, Justin Durand fending off the charge from Kurfan right now. Gap is about 0.2 of a second at the front. Now blocked to break the slipstream. Kurfan with a little bit more of a chance potentially. It is not over yet. Durand can't break away from the chasing pack behind. And can Kurfan get the overlap and force a narrow exit from Justin Durand? Not quite, but he can go for the crossover. Going to be a chance here into turn number 3. David Durand, of course, waiting in the wings as well. Is he going to try and help and give a push to the number 5? I would imagine so. At least as it comes to the fight with Alex Kurfan. But Kurfan with a great run down the low side here. Can he clear is the question. No, has to crack the throttle to leave room on the exit. And that gives a big run to Justin Durand. It's a big run to David Durand as well. And Kurfan does drop to 3rd because of that. Can't clear on the low side and just loses all the momentum on corner exit when you're side by side. It's a fine line when you're running on your own, but it's so dangerous. And there's a spin as Cody McCorkle down into the infield grass. Is that going to be a caution? With it being down on the low side there. It looks like iRacing Race Control are going to leave that one green. So unfortunate for McCorkle, and it looks like potentially Chicano was involved in that as well. But with 5 laps to go, we stay green here. We're within 10 miles of the checkered flag. And it is so tight at the front of this field. Durand and Kurfan. Who will it be? Will it be potentially someone else? Kurfan again stuck on the low side, losing the momentum with Roberts pushing David Durand through into the corner. There's a train, 3 cars launched at the top of the racetrack there with 4 to go. Does it actually give good momentum? I think just to David. Didn't quite work out, but Kurfan tried to slot in, couldn't quite manage it. Very smart from Justin here, breaking the slipstream down on the backstretch. Knows that if he just stays up against the wall, it's going to help David. Kurfan going to try and clear. He does clear. Does Durand have a response? Just gets stuck behind, and what this actually is, it gives Roberts the crossover move. And he's got a chance down now into turn number 1, but on the inside again. So that Probst going to try and send it 3 wide. Very difficult here with 3 to go for Wyatt Roberts. Sort of got gifted 2nd place through that melee, but now has to try and fight back for it. And Kurfan on that high side with that slide move does get back into this fight at the expense of David Durand. But they are just kind of stuck in lockstep behind. They can't use the full width of the racetrack. Meanwhile, Justin Durand, 4/10 up the road with 2 to go, is loving this in the rearview mirror. They're 3 wide now on the way into turn number 1. Nearly 4 even. Still could be 4. Will they all make it off the corner? Yes, they do, but they hold 3 wide. Now it is 4 wide with Cameron Caldwell making a pop to the inside for a move. Will we make it back to the white flag? Kurfan has broken free. Kurfan has a chance here. Coming out of turn number 4. A little bit of slide move before, but we have the white flag. This race is official. Can Kerfen reel in Justin Durand? And what on earth will happen behind the two of them? Everyone looking for clean air, looking for their own lane there through turn number 2. Will they all make it cleanly through the corner? Just about. Kerfen just a little bit too far back now. Need to make a Hail Mary here. Down in towards turn number 3. Does he have anything? He's going to send it. He sends it really deep. But Justin covers it off nice and calmly. They're 4 wide in the background, but never mind. It is Justin Durand who will take the checkered flag here in Fontana. And what a race it was. The podium runners flying in formation there. Put on an absolute show as this track always does, really. There's congratulations, Kerfen. Had a good shot at it, but in the end, knew he was beat. And it is Justin Durand who takes home that race victory. Now let's take you through the full running order here after 100 laps of racing in Auto Club. By less than 0.3 of a second, it was Justin Durand taking home the checkered flag. Alex Kerfen second over the line, with David Durand rounding out the podium with a little bit of a breakaway there in the final lap. Fabian and Probst dueling to the very end. Fabian comes home 4th. Great start to the season for the number 11 crew. That Probst caught down in 5th place. Enrique Cutelon managed to get the truck fixed up in that caution after the early incident and managed to charge all the way back through to 6th place. Really strong showing for the 0-2 after that final restart. And then Wyatt Roberts, Cameron Caldwell, Aaron Von Druska and Shane O'Neill, after getting that lucky dog, will round out the top 10. TJ Wood will finish in P11 with Chicano and McCorkle. They were the two that involved in that incident down on the front stretch. Might take a look at that a little bit later. It's Stephen Thornton and Weston Owenburn rounding out your 15 finishers, all on the lead lap. Christopher Smeltzer retires 36 laps before the end. Oh, what a performance that was. What a showcase of why this track is so beloved. Justin Durand in the end led 51 of 100 laps. And let's see if we can get a quick word with him in just a moment's time. Don't go anywhere. We're back with the post-race interviews. And we do now say hello to our race winner for tonight, Justin Durand. Well done. Taught us through that one. I think you must have thought you had it in the bag there after making that move for the lead, but then the caution comes out. How do you react to a situation like that?
Oh, you're annoyed for sure. 'Cause, I mean, if it just goes green the rest of the way, you have it in the bag as long as you don't, make any self-inflicted mistakes. So yeah, your first reaction is like, oh, great. And it was right behind me too, and I didn't see exactly what happened, but um, obviously knew everybody was going to pit. I didn't think anybody was going to take two, so I felt like it just executed on pit stop, get the lead. I thought it was going to be a little tougher than what it was to hold everybody off the way it was, but just glad we finished the race where we started.
It's always the goal when you lead off from pole position. Talk us through the strategy on the restart. We saw you pick the outside groove there. Was that always going to be a plan on the restarts? And when do you sort of choose when to fire off when it's a late race situation like that?
It just the outside worked earlier. I mean, granted, it went off green, so I didn't really get any advantage being the pole sitter on the bottom. But I mean, I just felt like the top was the better one just to launch from there. As far as the zone, I mean, as a leader, barring like a plate race, you should probably be launching as soon as you get to the zone, which is what my goal was there, to try to create whatever gap I could going into one.
Well, it was very, very well executed. And it does give you, of course, your first race win of the season. And it's got to be a great number at this point as we pull the stats up. 11 wins overall in the Blazer Sim Racing Truck Series. How does this one rank, do you think, compared to some of the others?
It's certainly up there because this is the first one we had with the upgraded horsepower, so I knew like tire wear was going to be a pretty big factor. It was kind of warm track, so I felt like I was be able to save the tires pretty well. Try to keep the track position. I know I got shuffled back at the very beginning. I felt like everybody was probably pushing really, really hard, and evidently they were, so I got back by them. So overall, great run. Hopefully we can keep going wherever we go a couple weeks from now.
That'll be Las Vegas. I wish you the very best, and if there's anything you want to say to the fans at home before you head off, now would be the time.
First off, just glad we're racing again. Took a pretty big sabbatical, so glad to see everybody that's been showing up. Hopefully we can keep the people in here through the long haul, get some more people. Hopefully it was a great race on the broadcast. I appreciate you hosting, and then everybody was watching at home.
Well, thank you very much, and enjoy the race victory.
Thank you.
That was your race winner for tonight, Justin Durand. Working down the order here, we'll talk to our second place finisher in the number 30 truck, Alex Kerfen. Alex, great running here tonight. You had quite an adventure, I'd say, throughout the early run of the race, but did a great job on strategy to get yourself back in contention, and then were right there all the way to the end. Talk us through your race.
Yeah, quite an adventure to say the least. But yeah, that result definitely surprised me, to say the least. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the undercut. It's definitely won me a few races in the past, and I knew if I could get a decent undercut, get some good pace on the fresh tires, and just stay smooth. Don't burn the rubber off the tires. I knew that I could have a chance. I knew that I would lose a few spots with that strategy after everything cycled through, but I was hoping I'd make it long enough in that run to where the tires would equal out, and they eventually did. By the time I had to pit again, I was still in front of, I believe, Cody and Alonso. I think I was in fourth. I'm not sure, but making it to that next pit stop still in front of them definitely played a big factor, and also that caution, that very timely caution at the end. David was catching me, and that caution definitely helped me getting on fresh tires and able to fight to the end. Good win by Justin. He was the class of the field the entire race, for sure.
Well, you gave it absolutely everything you had. Do talk to me a little bit more about those tires, though, because you mentioned you were looking for that sort of plateau. It seemed like they lost 2 seconds very quickly, but then held on for the rest of the race. How was it handling them throughout the stint, especially when they were in that sort of window?
Very tight the entire race. Very tight on entry, very tight on exit. I think the 110% horsepower that we've been adopting on the trucks definitely plays a factor into that. More power off the corners is definitely going to make the truck push a little bit more on that right front tire. And that's classically been a weakness of mine, is saving that right front tire. So this season is going to definitely be a challenge on a personal level, just to see if I can, adapt to a new driving style and stay consistent.
Well, I wish you the best of luck in that couple of weeks break here before we head over to Las Vegas. So, before we head off for July 4th, anything you want to say to the fans at home, now's the time.
I'm glad that we got this league back going. It's really fun. Enjoy the group of guys we got here. They're all fun to talk with, fun to race with. And one caution that entire race. That was a really fun race. Even with my little incident at the beginning. It's very satisfying to come back from something like that. I'd like to thank all my friends and family who enjoy watching us race each weekend, and I'd like to thank my sponsors, Corewell Health, Kerfans Market, my main sponsor. This is unfortunately going to be my last season running the Kerfans Market scheme. My dad will be selling his store this season, so I will have to find a new main sponsor. I'd also like to thank ACJC Gaming. They're sponsoring me this season. They're going to be uploading all of my onboards to their YouTube channel, their gaming channel, and go check them out. It's going to be a lot of fun giving them content. Thanks for the great broadcast, Olivia, and have a good one.
You too. If anyone wants to pick up a great truck driver, give Alex a call. Just second place finisher here tonight, here at Fontana. And of course, rounding out the podium, the bread in the Alex Kerfan sandwich, I suppose. David Durand. David, a third place finish here tonight. A great run, honestly, but it was a little bit of a difficult one. Talk us through your strategy here, dealing with the tire wear that we had tonight.
Just try to stay in clean air. That's kind of the main thing. I think as the runs progressed, people were kind of like burning their stuff up a little bit early because of the power adjustment. So you saw a lot of guys just try to run different lines and see what could work, what didn't work. For me personally, I was trying to run middle and the high line, trying to gain some time while people were all over the place. So I think my strategy and key was just trying to get as much clean air as I could, because if I was in dirty air with people apexing or light apexing, you were in a pretty bad spot. So that late race yellow kind of changed some things. If that didn't happen, I think I would have caught up to Alex there at the end and try to salvage a top three. And at the end of the day, it still didn't matter. So a top three is pretty good to me.
Yeah, it really was a great run. And again, that high side gives you the clean up. It also gives you so much momentum. So a lot of moves being made by just carrying that speed and then hitting the slingshot down into the next corner. Talk about how you set up that sort of move when you know that you're going to have more speed going onto the next straightaway.
Pretty much at the track temp as well. So this kind of worked a little bit with the extra power. So it was, you got to pick and choose when you're going to run that high line for momentum purposes. So, at the last 9-10 laps there, I used it to my advantage because everyone's kind of be running a little bit of all over the place, setting up the high line, gain as much momentum as I can, and try to maybe set up a pass and try to maybe clear before entering, a corner, then doing it over again type of thing. Just wasn't meant to be in the last handful of laps. Early on, it did work a little bit and gain some time, on the leaders with Justin and Zach there at the end. So it is what it is. I'm happy to had a chance for a win there at the end. Just this thing fall in our lap this time.
Well, still a great result here tonight. One last thing before we head off. Anything you want to say to the fans at home? Got the mic.
Just happy to be part of BSR for season 9. Hopefully that we can get a couple more guys out here and get a little more stronger field. But other than that, this was pretty fun tonight. So hopefully this carries over the next week.
Sounds good. We'll see you next time over in Las Vegas.
Thank you.
And with that rounds out our coverage of the Inland Empire 200 here at Auto Club Speedway. We're going to be taking a couple weeks off here now. Of course, next weekend, July 4th. It ain't my celebration, but it sure as hell is yours. Have a really wonderful time there. And then another week off. So we'll be back on the 18th of July at Las Vegas for another 200 miles of action. We'll be at the same time, same place. If you want to try and sign up to the lead, you know where to find us. So, with a little bit of a break towards the next one, I think all I have to say is have a wonderful 4th of July. Stay safe, be kind to each other, and we'll see you over in Vegas. Have a nice day.